I'm pleased to be joined now by the voice and the vice president of the CPCA, Greg Buchanan. Greg, thank you very much for taking this time and joining me. Now, jumping into things here, in 2021, after returning from the WPCA, Logan Gorse won the Canadian Championship. Just talk a little bit about his season and the success we saw from him.
You know what? A guy that just goes to business. You saw that right from the opening show, and didn't do anything too flashy. He was always in contention for win-a-day money, but a man that went to business and stayed the course all season long, and many times through a long 3-month season like it was for the CPCA, and all the obstacles and the hurdles they had to clear through COVID and a cancellation of the season the previous year. You don't know what you have in your barn, but Logan was always confident with the horses he had in his barn, and he knew by the end of August they were going to be where exactly he wanted to be, and they were. And he had some great runs, but at the same time he just stayed steady, and that resulted in him being in that Final Four. And it was kind of interesting for him and being that Canadian Dash. The last time he raced in the CPCA was in the Canadian Championship Dash, and he raced against his dad Gary. So for him to come back full circle back to the CPCA and then go into the Canadian Final Dash and to win it, it was kind of cool, because the last time he was in it, he didn't win it. So to, make amends, as he says, and to win it was something special, not just for him, but for the entire family and for everybody up in Meadow Lake.
Now, last year was the inaugural season for the North American Chuck Wagon Championship. Bucky, just take us through the excitement that was that week. And after seeing the success of that week, does it make you more excited for future North American Chuck Wagon Championships?
Well, I think more than anything, what I saw is kind of the workings, and then a lot of people didn't see when they came into the races or listened to on radio, is I saw the work that went into it prior to. And typically, to get ready for a 9-day show like they did, it takes 4, 5, 6 months to get ready for that, from sponsorship and everything. It took them 4 weeks to turn the key. And honestly, through those 4 weeks, as everybody knows, for COVID, you're waiting for the next news conference to come from Scott Moe, and you're wondering, okay, now we're going to get shut down. This isn't even going to happen. But we kept on chugging away, and then all of a sudden, and when Scott Moe said everything's going to open up on this day, they ended up opening up on that day. So that was great to see.
Now, here in Lloydminster at the Canadian Championships back in August, a number of drivers hit the track for the final time. Now, Bucky, just take a moment and tell us, a little bit what they meant, not only to the association, but to the sport as a whole.
Yeah, I think BJ has been a big, a big piece of the CPCA, and not just on the track, but people see that. What they don't see is the work behind the scenes, and negotiating show deals and negotiating sponsorships to a certain extent. And he was a big part of the NACC, and will even in his retirement will continue to be a big part of the NACC. So BJ, and BJ's an interesting story, because BJ is not like the typical chuck wagon driver that you see, where it's, generations of chuck wagon drivers in his family. He's the first chuck wagon driver in his family, but he did marry Kim Labicane, now Kim Carey. So yeah, that is Brian's daughter. So he married into chuck wagon racing, and once he got the bug, he loved it, and now his boys love it, and his daughter loves it. So as much as BJ has retired, I don't think you've heard the last of BJ Carey, and I think he'll have 4 lines in his hands. I want to say in the next number of years. He just needs a little break right now, start up a new company, and but once he gets his foot underneath him with the new company, you're going to see him back in the wagon box.
Now, final question, Bucky. An amazing 9 rookie drivers participated in the CPCA last year as well. There was the mentor heats at the North American Chuck Wagon Championship. Just to put things plain and simple, what does the future of chuck wagon racing look like here?
It is very strong. Kobe Stanley was your mentorship winner of the NACC. You had Gabby, Calvin Fiddler. You had such a long list of guys, and you said 9. That's the most rookie drivers the association has seen in one season in a very, very long time, if any. And I think the future is very bright. And one thing that there was always concern about over the last number of years is you have generations of drivers from a family, and then all of a sudden it takes maybe the son of a driver that doesn't want to get into it, just decides to go a different route, and then all of a sudden the legacy of that family just stops, and then you wonder, well, who's going to pick it up? So great to see. And more than anything, how the rookie drivers kind of developed through that was through COVID. If one of the negative things for COVID is that we had no race season, but at the same time they had fun runs. So here's some fellows that wanted to try wagon driving, but didn't want the pressure of being in a CPCA Pro Tour. So they had those fun runs at DJ King during the COVID 2020 summer, and they went in the wagon box. They succeeded, and then a year later, they had enough, trips around the track that they felt comfortable in the wagon box, and thus they became a rookie in the CPCA. So if there's any positivities from COVID, that was one of them.
Well, Bucky, thank you very much for taking this time and joining me. This was Greg Buchanan, voice of the CPCA.